the Paddock Mall Studios. This is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock, a little bit overcast, and we're going to have a little sunshine right now from Dr. Victoria Colleli. She's in the studio to help us understand the thing that's the hardest thing to understand about us being humans, and that's our mental health. Dr. Colleli is a mental health counselor. She holds a doctorate in Christian counseling and temperament therapy. I've needed that in my life, Robin, haven't I? A couple times on the road. I still get road rage a little bit. Oh, you're looking at me like, oh. I don't really. No, I'm good.
I think everyone does.
Do you? Oh, no.
Whether they express it or not, I think everyone feels that way at some point.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I have learned how to control my road rage, though.
The best thing that's helped me is knowing before I even, roll onto the street is knowing someone's going to cut me off today. Someone's going to, stomp on their brakes with knowing if someone's going to do something ridiculous. So if I already have that mindset, then when they do it, it's like, okay, it's not a big deal. You know that they're going to do something.
See, I don't even look at them because here's why. Because that's what triggers me. If they give me the finger or something like that, then it triggers me. If I just don't even look at them, then I'm much better off.
I had that. I went to Orlando to visit my daughter the other week, and I had my turn signal on. The lady still cuts me off, and then she goes like that, signaling outside of her, like telling me my turn signals. I'm like, yes, I know, meaning I'm about to turn. Doesn't mean I'm gonna stop. You know what I mean? Like that's okay. And I just. Okay, whatever. Like, I didn't want that to ruin my time because I was about to see my daughter. I didn't want anything ruining that. Yeah. People are going to be silly. So you're like, okay, they're going to be silly. There's nothing you can do about it. So don't let it ruin your day.
Mine was the worst when my son was learning to drive and I was in the passenger seat.
Oh, that's tough.
Oh, I was yelling at people. And he was like, Dad, calm down. Yeah, but he almost hit you. I'm okay. He had a better grip on it than I did.
Yeah.
So Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Regis
is on again.
On the phone. Good morning, Lieutenant Colonel. How are you?
Hey, good morning to you and the team. Good morning, Dr. Colleli.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what you two are going to talk about today. What are you talking about?
Go ahead, Lieutenant Colonel.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Doctor.
I said go ahead, and thank you for being on again. It's always a pleasure hearing your voice and having you on and being able to help you and the troops. So how can we help you this morning?
Well, this one is actually about me. I mean, we've been talking about the soldiers for some time as far as preparing and getting ready for deployment. This one's more personal to me, and what I've been noticing as I've prepared for deployment is when I see my parents, I'm noticing that my father, who's in his 80s, isn't really throwing anything away anymore. And by that, I mean, I'm not sure if it's to the point of hoarding, but I wanted to ask you your opinion about this. And I guess I was caught off guard a little bit, and I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it. I'm talking old radios, old pots and pans, old, irons and ironing boards that don't work anymore.
Okay.
I mean, it's just stuff that you and I would literally see as absolute junk. He refuses to throw it away. I mean, to the point where it's infuriating my mom, to tell you the truth. And I want to ask your opinion. Do you ever encounter that? Do you ever? I don't know what to make of it.
Well, quite often I encounter that. But I was, you're saying there's something, and that's not a problem to have old pots and pans. I have pots from when I first moved out 30 years ago. But when you said that they don't work anymore and that infuriates your mom, now we might have an issue. When people, usually when they don't throw stuff out, it's an emotional attachment to them. So in some way, that iron could have been the first iron your dad bought. It has some kind of significance, and the thought of throwing it away could be a fear of, there goes that memory for him. my other question too would be, is memory an issue right now for him, or is it just he's holding on to things that to you seem like they don't work and mean nothing, and it infuriates your mom, but is there more to it than that?
Well, I could say that his memory is affected. I mean, definitely at his age, we have this reoccurring conversation that my brother and I, and my brother who's a state trooper in Florida, that we have this reoccurring conversation. Is he always calls us and asks, hey, I'd like to fly somewhere and visit my relatives, and we're all for it. We're like, hey, just all you gotta do is give us dates, and we'll make sure we provide the ticket and even some spending money if you need. But the moment we ask him to commit to the dates, he always seems reluctant to leave at that point. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's something, other listeners might encounter, or that you've seen in your, professional journey. I don't know if he remembers that we have this conversation, or maybe it just entertains him to mess with us. I don't know.
To mess with you. Okay, so there might be some memory loss going on as well, you're saying. But back to having all these items that he can't throw away, is it to where there's so much clutter in his house, it's affecting his ability to live in any way? Like, is it affecting his routine? Does it affect him socially? Does it affect him in any other way besides annoying others? Does it affect your dad?
As far as, no, it's not to the point where, say, you can't walk through the hallways, or you can't make your way around rooms or from room to room, but each room itself is now becoming this, endless collection, I guess you would say, mm-hmm. of documents from years ago, items from years ago. Now, we expect him, to have normal memories and keepsakes, but I mean, he won't throw away clothing. He won't, discard anything that's, I don't know. I mean, anything.
Okay.
Anything. Even to the point where my mom has actually stopped buying ink for the printer because he was just constantly printing out websites, like page after page after page, and almost as if he's building a reference library of some sort. So right. I want to ask your opinion on that.
Well, it's really hard to tell without being there and knowing more about your dad and the whole dynamics. Like I said, if it's not seeming to hurt him, if it's not impeding his life, if it's not a significant impairment, we can't diagnose this as hoarding. However, again, I'd want to know why he doesn't want to get rid of it. But again, if it's not interfering with anything, why are you guys asking him to get rid of it? Or maybe just put it in a box and maybe put it in the garage. Maybe if you want space in the room, say, hey, Dad, we're not going to get rid of it. Can we just put it in a box and maybe put it in the garage? Or you might want to ask him, well, why? What's the significance of these papers and things like that? Because I can tell you, my father went through that. Now, there's nothing wrong with my father right now, and he is 80-something right now. But he has a lot of collectibles. He has stuff, to me, I'm like, this is too much, too many items. But when I ask my dad about it, he'll tell me the significance of why he has those things, why is he keeping it. And then we went ahead and we put some stuff in boxes and put it in his garage. He was fine with that. So I don't know if you've had that conversation with your dad. My dad's story was when he was a kid, he didn't have anything. He grew up, in the 40s, so you're talking World War II. They had nothing. Everything that, any extra in America, they were given to the troops. I'm sure you're very familiar with that. And he was one of 7 kids, so he did not have a lot of things. So he says as he got older, now he can collect, now that he has the money and the space, and no one telling him he can't, he collects all of these items. He never uses them. It's the fact that he can have them, so he does. And when I asked him that, I was like, okay, I may not have a lot of stuff in my house. I figured if I can't use it, I don't want to buy it. But that's my philosophy. So it might be very interesting for you to have that chat with your dad and like, hey, what are you doing with these pots or these clothes or these papers? See what his perspective is on it. what it means to him. Because if it creates anxiety in him to get rid of it, then we know there's an issue. If he doesn't want to he starts acting up and he's anxious about it, then something might be going on. So it's hard for me to say if I don't know your father that well and ask him, well, what's the perspective? I'm also thinking you may be concerned about it because I think there's more to it. You might have seen more things or heard more things to where this is just another issue you're dealing with him. Maybe easier to talk about, maybe easier to get to. I think this might be one of many things happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're definitely right about that. I'll just have to. Yeah, I was wondering if it was a case where we are the ones that are irritated. I mean, were we reading too deep into this? I mean, as long as he's happy and healthy,
right?
But I think it's more of my mom. I mean, she likes to keep a tidy house, and I think she's been feeling that things are slipping in the terms of free breathable space, I guess, in the house, and she's feeling a little clutter. I think it's causing anxiety for her.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. Honestly, I guess we'll just have to give her some advice or sit down and talk it through. But so far, it's always just short conversations where we're wondering, okay, should we be concerned?
Right. If the only issue is your mom doesn't like the clutter, and I can definitely relate to that, maybe you put some stuff, come to a compromise. Your parents come to a compromise. Okay, listen, this is clutter for me. Can we put it in a box in the garage or something like that where he knows it's still there? If he wants it, he can access it. But then your mom has a clutter-free house. But also the deeper thing is, why is your dad doing that? I would figure out what's going on, if anything's on, what his perspective is as well.
All right, I'll definitely follow your advice and see if we could dig a little deeper, but I guess gently so.
Very
just so
gently.
We're not.
I'll never forget. I said very gently. I'll never forget when I was a kid. I had this old Fawn shirt. Of course, now you can probably know what generation I was raised in. I had the Fawn shirt. And I went to go, I was 3 or 4, and I went to go wear it, and my stepmom, she had just moved in, and she was cleaning house. And to her, the shirt meant nothing. Well, I want to put on the shirt something I'm used to. It was comfortable for me. It was familiar. When my whole life had kind of been upheaval with a change in the family dynamic, to me that shirt was consistency. When I went to put the shirt on, it wasn't there. That really affected me. To my stepmom, she didn't do it on purpose. She was just cleaning house. So I would always caution against what one person may think. Well, you and your mom may think it's trash or old, doesn't work. It might have a significance to your dad. So just be careful. Have that conversation. Your mom has the right to have a clutter-free, clean house, but your dad also has the right to what he's thinking and feeling about those items. And you guys don't want to cause strife. If it's not bothering him or affecting him, then it's not hoarding. It's not a psychological diagnosis, but something is going on.
Okay, so it's, I guess reach out to him and I guess try to find a happy median between the two of them. I guess that's the way I see it.
That's what marriage is, compromise.
Dr. Colleli, I have ask you a favor. Can you go back to the issue about his dad not wanting to commit to a date to travel?
Okay, that's a different subject.
Yeah. What was that about?
And I don't know how often, again, I don't know the whole dynamic, all the conversation. So it seems like, your dad has it. See, I believe, and Lieutenant Colonel, correct me if I'm wrong, soldiers, especially, and men, love to problem solve. They're problem solvers. So if you give them a problem, they want to solve it. So the dad is saying, I miss my family. Lieutenant Colonel and his brother are saying, well, here's the money. So obviously there's something else going on. I don't know if he's afraid of flying. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, even in the day, for instance, my folks live down in the, Miami area, and I have a brother in Orlando with mental illness. And we always, when I visit my parents, of course, my dad wants to go check on him. But his thought is he wants to drive back the same day. Like, there's something about being away from home for any extended period of time that makes him really nervous.
Yes.
So if we were to drive from, say, Miami to Orlando on a Saturday, he wants to be back Saturday night to sleep in his own bed, and we're telling him, like, hey, staying over one night is not going to hurt. And the same thing happens when it comes time to fly. He has a lot of siblings. My father is the oldest of 13. So he has a lot of siblings in the tri-state area of the U.S., New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. And he just, anytime we give him a date, anytime we say, no problem, we have a ticket picked out for you, anytime we say, go ahead, he has something he needs to handle. Mind you, he's 80 and completely, in his 80s and completely retired, but he always says, well, I have things at the house to take care of. I need to get back to the house, or I need to sleep in my own bed. And we go, well, that's not really conducive to visiting relatives in the tri-state area. So that's, I guess I could look for more instances, but these are the things that we encounter, myself and my brother. And this is probably a conversation we have with him monthly. Literally monthly.
Well, that's not uncommon. Obviously, your dad is comfortable in his own bed. He's comfortable at home. And it could be he might have some kind of fear about leaving home, like, what if the stove catches fire or something like that? You have these thoughts. I do sometimes when I leave the house, I turn the stove off. When you're older, like if that's all you have is your home, that's where he feels safe and secure. He might be a little nervous about leaving it for long. Now, I don't know if that's agoraphobia, where you're afraid to leave the house. Who knows? Again, I'd have to have that conversation with him or hear that conversation. But if he's missing family, and he doesn't want to be away from home from long, where he's comfortable, see if the family can, if you're going to pay for a ticket for him to fly somewhere, see if you can pay for the family to come see him. Or again, have that conversation, well, Dad, why don't you want to be away from home? And gently, we probably wouldn't ask him that directly, but have that conversation. Obviously, he's very comfortable at home. He feels safe at home. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable going somewhere else, or he doesn't feel safe somewhere else, and I wonder why. So that would be, it's a deeper situation than just, he says he wants to see family, you offer him the ticket, he doesn't go. There's a reason why, and for him to share, he feels safe, he wants to be home in his own bed. That's understandable. We want him to go and visit, and we want him to be comfortable where he's going, but there's a reason he's not. We don't know if that's mental illness or there's a reason for that. Did something happen last time he was there? Was there a car accident? Something happened on the plane? Something happened at that house where he's going? We don't know the history. People don't just not want to do something usually for no reason. Usually there's a reason, something
If he's looking for like a family reunion and doesn't want to travel and nobody else can, it's not practical. Would one of those, I don't know if this is a good solution, but would one of those, this is the guy thing, trying to find a solution. Would one of those like video conference things, would that help? Would that make a difference? I
don't know what he's wanting. Like it depends. If he needs that human touch, a hug, smell the food, taste the food, then that's not going to work. But if he just wants company, that might work. So again, we'd have to figure out what is he wanting? What he misses from? What does he miss about them? What is it does he need from them? So.
Yeah, I'll just, that's one of those that I'll have to ask him. We just see it as, hey, there's no place that you have to visit that you wouldn't be welcome or that it wouldn't be appreciated. Like, these are relatives that can sit and talk for hours, if not days, when they're together.
Well, I'm going to share something personal. My father, he's just like that. He doesn't want to stay away from home. And this is why for my father. My father he had night tremors, night terrors, actually. And we figured out it was the medication he was put on. So he was so nervous not being at home at night, because that's when it occurred, obviously. He didn't want to be in a stranger's house and worry strangers and that occur. He wanted to be at home. He wanted to be at home where he felt safe and where he knew, okay, if this happens, I'm at home. So that was one reason my father didn't want to stay out. Like even my house or my sister's house was because of that. Because I was like, why don't you want to stay here? And I've put two and two together. He was having night terrors. But that's why you have to really just know the person, listen to what they're saying, maybe even visit more and to put that puzzle together, because they're not always going to tell you. Who wants to admit really how they feel all the time? As a psychologist, I know that it's hard for people to really admit how they feel or what's going on. And sometimes they may not know, they just know I'm comfortable at home. They may not always know why don't they want to go somewhere for a long time. And when you talk to them and show them you care and it comes out, then that's when you figure it out.
Yeah, I guess that's what we have to do, and dig into it a little bit, and like I said, not pressure him, but see if we can peel the onion back and
That's it.
find out what's inside.
That's it.
Wow, two tough problems really in one call. Do you have any recommendations, like somebody else listening in that's going through something similar? Would your answers to Lieutenant Colonel Reed just be the same for everybody else listening in?
Yep, it sure would be.
Yeah.
You got to figure out, like I said, there's a reason why we do what we do. And either the person doesn't really know why or they don't want to say why. And that's, if when you care about your family like he does, you get to the root of it. It may seem, well, he doesn't want to, here's the answer. Why aren't you doing it? There's a reason. So
there's three siblings, Lieutenant Colonel, or do you have more siblings than the three you named?
Oh, for myself, yeah. There's 6 of us.
6 of you? Oh my gosh!
There's 6 of us. But it's 6 over 2 marriages. I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Oh, okay. So is everybody scattered physically around the country?
Well, for my dad, most of his siblings are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area. For myself and my brothers, I'm really the only one. Myself, I'm in the Midwest. My sister is in New York, but everyone else is in Florida.
Okay. The Highway Patrol brother, he's in Florida? Oh, okay.
He is.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough when everybody's scattered like that, right?
Do you think maybe creating a family reunion where everybody comes to him might be?
Again, I'm not sure.
I have been thinking about that, and as a matter of fact, one of my favorite aunt, who is visiting her daughter, my cousin, in Atlanta. I thought about, well, what if I fly in and either fly her down to Florida or drive her down, depending on how much talking she wants to do. It's been 2 or 3 years since I've seen her, so she might have 100 questions, and a road trip might be worth it. But I definitely want her to see my dad, and I think it would bring him to tears.
Then he's going to have more photos you won't throw away.
I'll probably bring him some souvenirs along the drive.
More stuff.
Maybe I'm enabling him. I don't know.
What a fascinating conversation. And I think real relatable, too. I think all of us think of somebody we know. That sounds like, it sounds familiar. Obviously, you do, Doctor.
I do.
Circle. Is that more of a man thing, the hoarding thing, or is that do both of us, men and women, do that?
Yeah, I don't think it's gender specific, because it's more also. And again, I don't know if he has the hoarding diagnosis, but true hoarding, it's mostly an anxiety disorder. Because just the thought of getting rid of it causes such anxiety and stress. That's the thing.
You bring us a great show, that's for sure. Well, thank you for being on the air with us, Lieutenant Colonel. Are you still there?
I still am. Thank you, sir.
I thought I accidentally cut you off. And Dr. Colleli, before we say goodbye, I want to make sure the listeners can make contact with you.
Yeah, sure. The number is 352-216-8773.
And you have a website also?
I did. It's being reconstructed right now, so they can't access it right now. Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah.
Dr. Victoria Colleli, thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Regis, thank you. Good conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump, in a series of tweets about his